brutal Stoic truth. Control what you can, ignore what you can't. There is a harsh, unshakable reality that every human being must confront if they ever want to free themselves from the prison of negative thinking. Most of life lies outside your control. And yet, paradoxically, most of your suffering, most of your fear, most of your frustration does not come from the external world itself, but from your refusal to accept this truth. We build our own chains by demanding that the universe obey us, and then we rage when it doesn't. We complain about the weather as if our anger could rewrite the clouds. We scream at traffic as if our horn could rearrange the city. We obsess over other people's opinions as if our worry could reprogram their minds. This illusion of control is the breeding ground of negativity, and Stoicism, in its brutal honesty, tears that illusion apart. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king who ruled over the Roman Empire at its height, carried the same burdens that crush us today: betrayal, loss, chaos, and uncertainty. But instead of drowning in frustration, he wrote to himself in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words are not gentle suggestions. They are commands, forged in fire. He is telling us, stop trying to dominate what does not belong to you. Stop exhausting yourself in wars you cannot win. Your kingdom is your own mind. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. The tragedy of most lives is that people never draw the line between what is within their control and what is not. Instead, they blur it into a haze, handing their peace of mind to every random gust of fate. A friend ignores them, and they collapse into anxiety. A stranger insults them, and they spiral into rage. The economy shifts, and they let despair devour them. None of these things are theirs to command, yet they bleed for them anyway. Epictetus, a slave-turned-philosopher, began his teachings with a razor-sharp division. Some things are up to us, and some are not. That single line contains the difference between torment and freedom. If you live as if everything is up to you, you will break. If you live as if nothing is up to you, you will rot in passivity. But if you draw the boundary with brutal clarity and obey it relentlessly, you will become untouchable. Now, here comes the part most people cannot swallow. To accept what is beyond your control feels like surrender. It feels like weakness, as though you're letting life walk all over you. But Stoicism is not about rolling over in submission. It is about conserving your fire for the battles that actually matter. To fight against what cannot be changed is to light a torch in a storm and wonder why the flame dies. To accept reality as it is, not as you fantasize it should be, is not cowardice. It is the strongest act a human can perform. Acceptance is not soft. Acceptance is steel. It takes more courage to say, "This storm is not mine to fight," than to scream at the heavens until your voice breaks. It takes more discipline to look inside, master your own response, and let go of the rest, than to keep cursing what will never bend. Picture a circle. Inside that circle live the only things you truly control: your thoughts, your decisions, your actions, your effort, your perspective. Outside that circle live everything else: other people's choices, the weather, accidents, your past, your genetics, the ultimate outcome of your efforts. Life's brutal law is simple. Stay inside your circle. If it belongs outside, let it drift away like smoke. If it belongs inside, seize it with discipline and shape it as best as you can. The moment you forget this circle, you hand your peace over to the chaos of the world. You give strangers the power to destroy you. You let chance own your happiness. And then you wonder why you feel powerless. But when you draw that circle boldly and defend it with your life, something incredible happens. You discover a freedom no tyrant, no tragedy, no twist of fate can take away. Negative thinking thrives in the shadows outside the circle. Anxiety feeds on the future you cannot predict. Regret feeds on the past you cannot repair. Anger feeds on people you cannot control. The moment you stop giving your energy to these phantoms, negativity starves. It doesn't disappear instantly. You'll still feel fear, you'll still feel anger, but you'll choke it before it takes root. You'll remind yourself, this belongs outside my circle, therefore it cannot enslave me. That single practice rewires the brain. Each time you refuse to fight unwinnable battles, you reclaim strength for the battles that actually belong to you. The brutal clarity of this law is most visible in real examples. Someone insults you. You cannot control their tongue. What you can control is whether their words enter your bloodstream as venom or evaporate like smoke. You lose your job. The market shifts, the company collapses. That's outside. But how you respond, whether you curse fate or rebuild stronger, is inside. You fall ill. You cannot control the randomness of disease, but you can control your courage, your discipline, your willingness to endure. A relationship ends. You cannot control another person's heart, but you can control how you rebuild yours. These examples may sound cold, but reality is cold. The universe is not sentimental, and if you don't harden yourself with its truth, it will break you. So how do you train your mind to live this way? The Stoics did not trust theory alone. They drilled themselves daily. In the morning, they prepared their minds. Today, many things will happen outside my control. My task is only to govern myself. During the day, they practiced the pause. Whenever triggered, they stopped and asked, is this inside or outside my circle? If outside, they let it die there. At night, they journaled, dissecting their disturbances, separating controllable from uncontrollable, and watching how much needless pain they had carried. They even practiced negative visualization, imagining the loss of their health, their status, their loved ones, so that when life eventually stripped these away, they would not be shattered. These were not exercises in pessimism. They were training in invincibility. The paradox is this. The more you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, the more control you actually gain over yourself. And that is the only freedom that matters. You cannot stop the storm, but you can train yourself not to drown in it. You cannot rewrite the world, but you can command your reaction to it. Epictetus lived as a slave with broken chains on his feet. Yet he was freer than many emperors because his mind was untouchable. That is the freedom waiting for you on the other side of this brutal law. Every negative thought is a thief. It steals your peace, your focus, your time. But thieves only succeed if you open the door. This law is the lock. Control what you can, ignore what you can't. It may sound merciless, but so is life. The choice is simple: fight unwinnable wars and drown in negativity, or master your circle and walk through chaos untouchable. Brutal Stoic truth: turn pain into power. There is a savage law of existence that no one escapes. Suffering will find you. You can hide in comfort, you can drown yourself in distraction. You can pretend the storm isn't coming, but it will come. Loss will knock at your door. Pain will carve into your body. Betrayal will shatter your trust. Death will tear someone from you. And here's the brutal reality. You don't get to choose whether life hurts you, but you do get to choose what that pain becomes. Most people let pain rot them from the inside. They collapse into self-pity, complain to anyone who will listen, and curse the unfairness of existence. Their suffering becomes poison, corroding their spirit until nothing remains but bitterness. But the Stoics, the rare few who chose to face reality head-on, saw pain differently. They saw pain as fire. Fire doesn't care what you throw into it. Wood, flesh, garbage, it consumes everything and transforms it into energy. Pain works the same way. You can throw your misfortunes into it, and instead of being destroyed, you can let it forge you. Marcus Aurelius buried children, commanded armies, endured endless betrayals and sickness, and yet he wrote in his journal, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Read that again slowly. What stands in the way becomes the way. He was not writing poetry. He was documenting survival. When an obstacle blocks your path, you have a choice. Either break against it or use it as a stepping stone to rise higher. Every difficulty can be fuel. Every wound can become a weapon. Every loss can carve strength into your bones. But this is not how most people live. They see adversity and immediately declare, "Why me? Why now? This is unfair." That question, "Why me?" is the breeding ground of weakness. It leads to despair because the universe never answers it. The Stoics cut that question out like a cancer. They replaced it with something fiercer. What will I do with this? That single shift in perspective rewires the entire mind. It changes pain from an enemy into an ally, from a weight into a tool. Think of muscle. Without resistance, it withers. Only by straining against weight, by tearing and rebuilding, does it grow stronger. The mind is no different. Without resistance, it becomes soft, fragile, untested. Pain is the weight that tears the fibers of the soul so that it can rebuild stronger. This is why the Stoics didn't just tolerate suffering. They trained with it. They practiced voluntary discomfort, sleeping on the floor, eating plain food, exposing themselves to cold and heat. They understood a truth we forget in our obsession with comfort. Weakness grows where suffering is absent. The brutal paradox is that the more you run from pain, the weaker you become. The more you face it, the stronger you grow. Consider Epictetus. Born a slave, crippled in body, abused by his master, he could have drowned in resentment. Instead, he built a philosophy that outlived empires. He taught that no one can truly harm you unless you allow them to corrupt your soul. His body was broken, but his spirit was untouchable. That is the Stoic victory, not the absence of pain, but the mastery of it. Now ask yourself, how do you treat your suffering? Do you cling to it like a victim, replaying it endlessly, using it as an excuse for why you can't move forward? Or do you strip it of its poison and force it to serve you? Every time someone betrays you, you can grow sharper in reading people. Every time life knocks you down, you can grow more resilient in standing back up. Every scar can become proof that you survived, not evidence that you were defeated. The brutal part of this law is that no one can do it for you. The world will not stop hurting you. Fate will not apologize. There will always be more storms. If you wait for life to be painless before you live, you will die waiting. The only choice you have is whether you let the storm drown you or whether you learn to ride its waves. The Stoics remind you that the storm is permanent, so you must be stronger than the storm. Think of fire again. Throw wood into it, it grows. Throw water into it, it hisses, then consumes it as steam. Throw obstacles into it, and it transforms them into energy. You must become that fire. When tragedy strikes, let it fuel your urgency to live. When someone betrays you, let it sharpen your wisdom. When you fail, let it forge your humility. Do not let pain be wasted. Waste is the true tragedy, not the suffering itself, but the fact that you let it break you instead of build you. But how do you practice this law? It begins with awareness. The next time you feel pain, anger, grief, frustration, don't run from it. Don't numb it with distraction. Sit with it. Look it in the eye and ask, what can I build from this? What lesson hides inside this wound? At first, your mind will resist. It will scream for pity, for comfort. Ignore it. Dig deeper. There is always something. Maybe it teaches patience. Maybe it reveals who truly stands beside you. Maybe it strips away illusions and forces you into honesty. Every pain carries a gift for those disciplined enough to claim it. Then comes action. Do something with it. Journal about it, so the lesson crystallizes. Train harder, so your body remembers resilience. Help someone else, so your suffering becomes compassion instead of bitterness. Every time you channel pain into action, you carve a new pathway in your mind. You rewire yourself away from negativity and into power. Over time, this becomes instinct. Suffering arrives, and instead of despair, your first thought becomes, good, fuel. This is not about becoming numb. Stoicism is not about pretending you don't hurt. Pain will still sting, loss will still ache, but the difference is what comes after the sting. Most people spiral downward, letting pain multiply itself 100 times over in their minds. The Stoic Path demands you cut that spiral short. Feel it, acknowledge it, then hammer it into strength. The wound becomes the weapon, the obstacle becomes the way. There is no softer way to say this. Life will break you if you let it. Negativity will consume you if you feed it. But the Stoic law is merciless. Turn every pain into fuel or let it destroy you. There is no middle ground. That is why Stoicism feels brutal, because it strips away the comfortable lies we tell ourselves. But it is also why it works, because life itself is brutal, and only a brutal philosophy can meet it head-on. The choice is yours. When the next blow comes, and it will you waste it in bitterness, or will you forge it into power? Remember this. The world does not owe you a painless life, but you owe yourself the strength to turn your pain into something that makes you unbreakable. And once you master this, negativity has no soil left to grow. Pain becomes energy. Suffering becomes strength. Every wound becomes proof that nothing outside of you can defeat the fire inside of you. Brutal Stoic truth. Master your emotions or be ruled by them. There is a prison more suffocating than chains, more brutal than iron bars, and most people walk into it willingly every day. That prison is emotional slavery. Anger flares and they explode, saying words that scar relationships forever. Fear strikes and they freeze, watching opportunities vanish. Jealousy burns and they sabotage themselves, chasing shadows that were never theirs. Despair whispers and they surrender, wasting months, even years in darkness. They think these emotions are unstoppable, as if feelings were gods commanding their every move. But the brutal Stoic truth is this: emotions are not masters. They are signals. They are energy. And if you don't master them, they will master you. The modern world teaches you to follow your heart, to trust your feelings. That sounds poetic, but it is also the root of weakness. A man or woman who blindly follows feelings is a puppet, pulled in every direction by the strings of circumstance. Stoicism cuts those strings. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Notice what he emphasizes: not the outside world, but your mind. Within your mind lies the power to govern emotions instead of being governed by them. Anger is the easiest trap. Someone insults you, and your ego demands revenge. You lash out, thinking you're defending your honor, but in truth, you're proving how easy you are to control. The moment someone can make you lose yourself with a few words, you're their slave. Seneca warned that anger is temporary madness. It makes you blind, irrational, destructive. A single outburst can burn bridges that took years to build. The Stoic answer is brutal but effective. Pause. Step back. Ask, is this worth my peace? Is this within my control? Most of the time, the insult is air. Let it pass. To remain calm in the face of provocation is not weakness. It is the highest display of strength. Anyone can rage. Few can endure without breaking. Fear is another tyrant. It whispers of dangers that may never come, paralyzing you with visions of disasters that exist only in your imagination. How many lives have been wasted waiting for the right time, the perfect moment that never arrives, because fear built a prison of hesitation? The Stoics met fear with preparation. They practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They visualized loss, hardship, even death, so that when fear came, it found no foothold. By rehearsing worst-case scenarios, they robbed fear of its fangs. The brutal truth is this: fear will never vanish, but you can strip it of control. You can feel it, acknowledge it, and still move forward. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in spite of it. Desire is the subtlest chain. Anger and fear are storms. You see them coming. Desire creeps quietly. It convinces you that happiness lies in more wealth, more recognition, more pleasure. You chase endlessly, only to discover that the finish line always moves further away. The Stoics cut through this illusion with one savage principle: learn to want less. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The brutal truth is that unchecked desire makes you a beggar, no matter how rich you are. You will always kneel before what you crave. Freedom comes when you master desire, when you can enjoy things without needing them, when you can let go without feeling empty. Then there is grief, the loss of loved ones, the collapse of dreams, the inevitable tragedies of life. These emotions cut the deepest. The Stoics did not deny the sting of grief. They did not demand you be made of stone, but they refused to let grief enslave them. They reminded themselves daily, everything is borrowed. Nothing is truly ours, not even our own breath. To love deeply and yet be ready to let go, that is Stoic strength. It sounds merciless, but it is the only way to survive in a world where loss is guaranteed. The brutal truth is this: the deeper you cling, the deeper you suffer when life takes it away. To love without clinging, to cherish without possessing, that is freedom. So how do you train emotional mastery? The Stoics practiced awareness as their first weapon. When a wave of emotion surged, they named it. This is anger, this is fear, this is grief. By naming it, they separated themselves from it. They reminded themselves, I am not this emotion, I am the observer of it. Then they interrogated it. Is this useful? Is this in my control? Does this make me better or weaker? Most emotions, under the harsh light of reason, shrink to nothing. The ones that remain can be directed, like fire used for warmth instead of destruction. Training requires repetition. Every insult is a chance to practice patience. Every fear is a chance to practice courage. Every desire is a chance to practice restraint. Every loss is a chance to practice acceptance. Life is a dojo, and emotions are the sparring partners sent to test you. If you see them as enemies, you will always fight and always suffer. If you see them as trainers, you will grow stronger with each encounter. The brutal truth is this: emotions are not the problem. Your enslavement to them is. Anger can become righteous energy if directed toward justice. Fear can become alertness if harnessed without paralysis. Desire can become ambition if tempered by discipline. Even grief can become compassion if allowed to soften the heart instead of harden it. The difference lies in whether you master the emotion or the emotion masters you. Imagine a rider on a wild horse. If he holds the reins, the power of the horse becomes his ally. If he drops them, the horse drags him into ruin. Your emotions are that horse. They are strong, unpredictable, dangerous, but also powerful if guided. The Stoic Path is not about killing the horse. It is about holding the reins with an iron grip. Most people reject this because it is hard. It is easier to say, "I couldn't help it, I was angry," or "I was too scared," or "I just wanted it so badly." Excuses are easy. Mastery is brutal. It demands self-discipline. It demands constant vigilance. It demands that you kill the comfort of blaming your feelings and instead take full responsibility for your actions. But that is the price of freedom. The alternative is to live as a slave forever, yanked around by emotions like a puppet on strings. The reward for this brutal discipline is unshakable calm. Imagine walking through life while chaos erupts around you, people shouting, storms raging, losses cutting deep, and you remain centered, unbroken. That calm is not coldness. It is power. It is the ability to think clearly when others drown in emotion. It is the ability to act with wisdom when others self-destruct. It is the ability to live free, no longer at the mercy of every passing feeling. In the end, emotions will always visit you. You cannot stop them, but you can decide how long they stay and what they do while they are there. Do not let them rule your life. Do not let them poison your mind. Do not let them rob you of the one thing you truly own, your ability to choose your response. Master your emotions or be ruled by them. That is the brutal Stoic truth. There is one fact so unavoidable, so final, that most people spend their entire lives running from it. They bury it under distractions, drown it in entertainment, pretend that if they don't think about it, it won't exist. That fact is death. Your death. My death. Everyone's death. And the brutal Stoic truth is that if you do not face it, if you do not keep it constantly in front of you, your life will be wasted in trivialities. The Stoics were not obsessed with death because they were morbid. They were obsessed with death because they were alive. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world at the time, reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Imagine that. An emperor with legions at his command, wealth beyond measure, still wrote those words in his journal at night as if whispering to himself, "You might not see tomorrow." Why? Because death strips away illusions. It burns the trivial. It reminds you that your time is short and that every wasted hour is an hour you will never reclaim. Most people live as if they are immortal. They plan endlessly for a future that may never arrive. They put off dreams, conversations, and forgiveness for later, believing later is guaranteed. But later is a lie. Later is a luxury you might not receive. Death is always closer than you think. It could come in a decade. It could come tomorrow. It could come before you finish this sentence. And when it does, all the petty worries, all the grudges, all the excuses you clung to will vanish into nothing. The brutal wisdom of the Stoics is to bring death close, not push it away. They practiced memento mori, remembering death, so they could remember to live. When you keep death in your sight, you stop wasting your life on nonsense. That argument you were about to have, suddenly it feels ridiculous. That delay on your dream, suddenly it feels like cowardice. That love you've been withholding, suddenly it feels urgent. Death is the harshest teacher because it exposes what really matters. But here is where most people recoil. They think remembering death will make them anxious, fearful, depressed. The opposite is true. Forgetting death makes you anxious. Pretending you have unlimited time makes you frantic, always postponing, always feeling unfulfilled. When you remember death honestly, something shifts. Anxiety fades because you know the truth. Nothing is promised. Fear shrinks because you see how small most problems are compared to the final problem. Depression lifts because you recognize that every moment of life is a gift already on loan. Consider this. If you knew you had only 1 year to live, how differently would you act? Who would you forgive? What would you pursue without hesitation? Who would you spend your time with? Now realize something darker. You do not know if you even have a year. You don't know if you have a month, a week, a day. This is not meant to terrify you. It is meant to liberate you. To remember death is to remember that procrastination is suicide in slow motion. Every day you delay living is a day subtracted from your already limited supply. Seneca wrote that we are not short of life, but we waste so much of it. People spend hours arguing over trivial insults, chasing gossip, scrolling endlessly through meaningless noise. They guard their money with vigilance, but they squander their time, the one currency they cannot earn back. Death is the ledger that keeps the account honest. When you measure your actions against death, you see how foolish most of them are. Will this matter on your deathbed? If not, why waste a second on it now? The Stoics went even further. They meditated not just on their own death, but on the death of everyone they loved. Brutal? Yes. But reality does not bend to your feelings. Your parents will die. Your children will die. Your friends, your partner, every face you love will vanish. This is not cruelty. This is fact. And by remembering it, you stop taking them for granted. You stop postponing affection. You stop assuming there will always be more time. When you accept mortality, love becomes sharper, deeper, more urgent. You hug tighter. You speak more honestly. You waste fewer days on anger and distance. This is the paradox. By remembering death, you truly learn to live. Most people do the opposite. They run from death, and in running, they forget to live. They exist, but they don't live. They breathe, but they don't awaken. The Stoic law cuts through the illusion. It says, death is certain, life is short, so act now. Stop waiting. Stop wasting. Stop living as if you have forever. You don't. How do you practice this brutal wisdom without collapsing under its weight? The Stoics gave us methods. Journaling each night with the reminder, if I do not wake, have I lived today well? Morning meditations with the thought, this could be my last sunrise. Will I waste it? Negative visualization, picturing the loss of health, fortune, or loved ones, not to wallow in sadness, but to sharpen appreciation. Carrying tokens, symbols, even skulls to remind themselves, remember, you must die. To modern eyes, this seems dark. To Stoic eyes, it was clarity. Life is a candle in the wind. Better to know this than to live in delusion. The greatest gift of remembering death is freedom. When you face the ultimate end, lesser fears lose their grip. What is the embarrassment of failure compared to death? What is rejection compared to death? What is insult, poverty, or loss of status compared to death? They are nothing. You stop being paralyzed by fear of small losses when you have already looked the greatest loss in the eye. Death becomes your ally, not your enemy. It whispers constantly, stop wasting time, do what matters, live with urgency. There will be a day when you will take your last breath. You do not know when, neither do I. Neither did Marcus Aurelius or Seneca or Epictetus. But because they remembered it daily, they lived with power, with focus, with gratitude. And that is what Stoicism demands of you. To remember death is not to despair. It is to strip away every excuse and every distraction until all that remains is the life you are actually living, here and now. So stop pretending you have forever. Stop postponing your dreams. Stop withholding your love. Stop wasting your days on anger, gossip, and fear. Remember, you will die. Let that brutal truth burn away the trivial, and let it ignite in you the only thing that matters, to live fully, fiercely, and wisely while you still can. Brutal Stoic truth. Stop chasing approval. One of the most subtle but destructive poisons in human life is the need to be liked. People waste years, even decades, twisting themselves into shapes to win the approval of strangers who will forget their names. They spend fortunes to impress, wear masks to fit in, silence their own thoughts to avoid offense, all for the fleeting satisfaction of someone else's nod. And yet, no matter how hard they chase, approval is never secure. Tastes shift, crowds turn. Today's applause becomes tomorrow's ridicule. If your happiness depends on their approval, you have built your house on quicksand. The brutal Stoic truth is this: other people's opinions are outside your control, which means to live for them is to chain yourself to shadows. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but we care more about their opinion than our own." He saw clearly the madness of the human condition. You know yourself better than anyone. your motives, your struggles, your values, yet you hand over judgment of your worth to outsiders who see only fragments. That is slavery of the mind. The need for approval begins innocently. As children, we seek validation from parents and teachers, but if unchecked, it grows into adulthood like a parasite, dictating every move. You post a photo, and your mood rises or falls with the number of likes. You speak an idea, then immediately scan faces for signs of approval. You measure your worth not by your actions, but by applause. The Stoics would call this a disease of the soul. And like any disease, the cure is painful but necessary. Cut it out. Epictetus warned, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Harsh words, but liberating. Improvement requires that you stand firm in your own principles even when mocked. If you bend every time someone laughs or criticizes, you will never grow beyond their leash. To follow reason, to live by philosophy, is to accept that others may misunderstand you, may ridicule you, may reject you. The alternative is worse, to betray yourself for their comfort. Think of the time and energy wasted in people-pleasing. How many opportunities have been lost because you feared what others might think? How many truths have you swallowed? How many dreams buried? How many years delayed because the imaginary court of public opinion held you hostage? The Stoic view is uncompromising. Their approval is worthless. Their disapproval is worthless. Only your judgment of your own actions, tested against reason and virtue, has weight. This does not mean arrogance. It does not mean dismissing everyone's perspective with contempt. Stoicism is not about living in stubborn isolation. It is about distinguishing between feedback that helps you grow and shallow approval that enslaves you. If someone wiser than you points out error, listen. But if a crowd mocks your path because it is different, ignore them. Their noise cannot touch the fortress of a disciplined mind. The brutal truth is that you cannot control how others see you. You can only control whether their vision defines your life. And once you let go of that need, an incredible freedom opens. Imagine living without the constant anxiety of performance, without the desperate hunger for recognition, without the fear of rejection. Imagine acting because it is right, not because it will be applauded. Imagine speaking the truth as you see it, even if it costs you approval. That is what the Stoics lived for, integrity over popularity. Seneca reminded us, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Replace more with approval, and the statement is sharper still. The poor man is not the one without applause. The poor man is the one who needs applause, because no matter how much he gets, it is never enough. The hunger grows, the dependence deepens, and soon he is living not his own life, but a puppet show for the crowd. The world today makes this disease worse. Social media is a marketplace of approval, where every post is an auction of attention. People perform constantly, addicted to the dopamine rush of likes and followers. But this addiction corrodes the soul. It makes people terrified of silence, terrified of being unseen, terrified of existing without applause. Stoicism rips this addiction out by the roots. It tells you to do what is right because it is right, not because anyone is watching. To live by principle, not popularity. To seek self-respect, not public approval. Of course, rejecting approval is brutal. It means you may lose friends. It means some will call you arrogant, strange, even insane. It means you may feel the sting of isolation. But here is the paradox. Once you accept this, once you stop needing approval, you discover who truly belongs beside you. The ones who stay are not those who love your mask, but those who respect your soul. Better a few true companions than 1,000 hollow applauses. How do you train yourself in this brutal discipline? Begin by catching the moments you crave approval. Notice when your mind bends toward pleasing others at the cost of truth. Ask yourself, if no one applauded this, would I still do it? If no one saw this, would I still choose it? If the answer is no, then you are not living your own life. You are renting it out to spectators. Cut that leash. Reclaim your time, your voice, your direction. Next, practice small acts of indifference. Say what you believe, even if it is unpopular. Decline invitations when they do not align with your values, even if it disappoints others. Take actions without announcing them, proving to yourself that you don't need recognition. Each time you resist the craving for approval, you strengthen your independence. Each time you withstand disapproval without bending, you harden your character. The reward is priceless. When you stop chasing approval, you stop being a slave. You stop being tossed around by every opinion, every rumor, every glance. You gain a steadiness that others can feel but not shake. You walk into a room not needing anyone's validation, and ironically, that is when people respect you most. True respect is born not from pleasing others, but from standing firm in who you are. In the end, the only approval that matters is your own, measured not by comfort or vanity, but by whether you lived with integrity. On your deathbed, the crowd will not be there to applaud you. Their opinions will vanish like smoke. Only your conscience will remain, asking, did you live as yourself or as their puppet? The Stoic answer, the brutal answer, must be, I lived as myself. So stop begging for approval. Stop selling your soul for applause. Stop bending under the weight of opinions that were never yours to control. Live by principle. Live by reason. Live by truth. Anything less is slavery. Anything less is death in disguise. Brutal Stoic truth. Embrace discomfort. Most people spend their lives chasing comfort as if it were salvation. They avoid struggle, run from difficulty, insulate themselves from anything that feels unpleasant. They pad their lives with conveniences, drown their minds in distractions, and then wonder why they feel fragile, anxious, and weak. The brutal Stoic truth is this: comfort is not your friend. Comfort is decay in disguise. It softens you, dulls your edge, robs you of resilience. If you want to be strong, if you want to be free, if you want to kill negativity at its root, you must embrace discomfort. The Stoics understood that life is not gentle. Fate does not care about your plans, your preferences, or your convenience. It will throw storms at you without warning. It will strip away what you love, batter your body, test your mind. If you live only for comfort, every hardship will crush you. But if you train with discomfort, you will be ready. You will turn hardship into routine, pain into practice, loss into a lesson. Epictetus, who was born a slave and crippled by cruelty, said it plainly: difficulties show what men are. In other words, you don't know your strength until it is tested, and it can only be tested in discomfort. The man who never faces resistance never discovers his true power. He may look comfortable, but he is hollow. One gust of misfortune and he collapses. But the one who welcomes discomfort, who leans into struggle, who trains his mind and body against difficulty, becomes unbreakable. Marcus Aurelius, ruling Rome from the battlefield, reminded himself that every obstacle was a chance to train. He wrote, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing." Think about that image. Life is not a graceful performance where every step is rehearsed and safe. Life is a fight. You will be thrown to the ground, locked in struggle, forced to grapple with pain. And if you have not trained, you will lose. The Stoic trains daily in discomfort so that when the fight comes, he is ready. But here's the brutal catch. You cannot wait for fate to test you. You must seek out discomfort voluntarily. The Stoics practiced what they called voluntary hardship. They slept on the floor when they had beds. They ate simple food when they had feasts. They walked barefoot, exposed themselves to cold, denied themselves luxuries, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they feared the fragility of comfort. Seneca wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" He understood the truth. When you taste discomfort by choice, you stop fearing it by force. This is not masochism. It is preparation. By practicing discomfort, you prove to yourself that you can endure more than you think. You strip fear of its power. You free yourself from dependence on luxury. You learn that hunger won't kill you, cold won't break you, rejection won't destroy you. Suddenly, life has fewer weapons to use against you. Negativity loses its soil because you have trained yourself to thrive without comfort. Modern life makes this lesson even more urgent. Never before has humanity been so insulated from discomfort. With a click, you can summon food, entertainment, warmth, and distraction. But with every layer of comfort, your tolerance for hardship shrinks. That is why anxiety and fragility spread even in times of abundance. People crumble under pressures their ancestors would have shrugged at. We have built palaces of comfort, but bred minds of glass. Stoicism rips this illusion apart. It demands you reintroduce hardship into your life, not because you must, but because you need to. Ask yourself, When was the last time you deliberately chose discomfort? Not because you had to, but because you wanted to sharpen yourself? When was the last time you skipped luxury to test your resilience? When was the last time you pushed your body past its comfort zone, your mind past its fears, your soul past its cravings? If the answer is rarely, then understand this: you are at the mercy of fate. The first time life rips comfort from you, and it will, you will collapse. The Stoic refuses to wait for that collapse. He seeks discomfort now, so that when fate strikes, he smiles. Practical steps are brutal but simple. Wake up earlier than you want. Train your body harder than you think you can. Fast when food is within reach. Walk when you could drive. Speak the truth when silence would be safer. Expose yourself to cold, to heat, to rejection. Each act is a reminder: I am stronger than my cravings. I am stronger than my fears. I am stronger than my comfort. Over time, your mind rewires itself. Discomfort stops being an enemy. It becomes fuel. The paradox is that when you embrace discomfort, life becomes easier. Not because challenges disappear, but because your capacity grows. A man who is trained in cold is unfazed by winter. A woman who has faced rejection is unbroken by criticism. A person who has practiced poverty is not enslaved by wealth. They walk through life with a steadiness that comfort can never provide. The hardships that paralyze others become routine. The losses that destroy others become lessons. The negativity that poisons others cannot take root because your roots are already hardened in struggle. The brutal truth is that you are either training or decaying. There is no middle ground. Every day of comfort makes you weaker for tomorrow's storm. Every day of discomfort makes you stronger for it. The choice is yours. Embrace comfort now and pay in weakness later, or embrace discomfort now and reap strength forever. Stoicism demands the second path. In the end, life is not about avoiding pain. It is about becoming so strong that pain cannot break you. Comfort is temporary, but strength lasts. Comfort rots, but strength endures. Embrace discomfort, train with it, live with it. Let it shape you into someone who can walk through fire without fear. Anything less is slavery to comfort. Anything less is death before death. Brutal Stoic truth: take full responsibility for your life. There is one lie that ruins more lives than any other: the lie that your suffering, your failure, your unhappiness is someone else's fault. People cling to this lie because it comforts them. It lets them shift the weight of their misery onto others: parents, bosses, lovers, governments, fate. It spares them from the brutal truth: their life is their responsibility. No excuses, no exceptions, no one coming to save them. The Stoics burned this truth into their bones. If you want freedom, if you want power, if you want to kill negativity at its root, you must stop blaming and start owning. Blame is seductive. It always feels good in the moment. You fail a test, you blame the teacher. You lose a job, you blame the boss. You suffer heartbreak, you blame your partner. You stay stuck in life, you blame society. Each time you blame, you feel lighter because the burden has shifted. But here's the paradox: the more blame you place on others, the weaker you become. By denying responsibility, you deny your own power to change. You chain yourself to victimhood, and negativity thrives in that prison. The Stoic response is merciless. Epictetus said, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself can get the better of my free will." In other words, they can take everything, but they cannot take your choice of how to respond. Responsibility is always yours. It does not matter if circumstances are unfair, if fate has dealt you a cruel hand, if others have betrayed you. What matters is how you act with what remains. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor surrounded by treachery and war, wrote in his journal, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Stop waiting, stop complaining, stop blaming. Be the person you demand. Live the values you admire. Own your choices, even when they are hard, even when they hurt. Because in the end, no one else can live your life for you." Most people reject this because it feels harsh. They say, "But you don't understand my pain. You don't know what I've been through." The Stoics did not deny pain. They lived it. Seneca was exiled. Epictetus was enslaved and crippled. Marcus Aurelius buried his children and fought endless wars. They knew suffering firsthand. And yet they refused to surrender responsibility. They refused to waste their lives pointing fingers at fate. They understood the brutal truth. Even if life has been unfair, even if others are guilty, blame will never change reality. Responsibility is the only path forward. What does responsibility look like in practice? It looks like discipline. It looks like owning your thoughts instead of letting them spiral, owning your actions instead of excusing them, owning your reactions instead of justifying them. It means when someone insults you, you don't say, "They made me angry." No, they didn't. You chose anger. It means when you fail, you don't say, "The system is against me." No, the system is vast and indifferent. You failed, so own it, learn, rise again. It means when life crushes you, you don't say, "Why me?" You say, "What now?" This brutal responsibility does not mean self-hatred. It does not mean condemning yourself for every misstep. It means radical ownership, facing the truth without denial, without blame, without escape. It means understanding that no matter what happens, you still hold the reins of your inner life. And with those reins comes the freedom to steer. Negativity dies in the presence of responsibility. Think about it. Blame feeds negativity. It keeps you circling the same wound, replaying the same grievance. But when you take responsibility, you break the loop. You act, you move, you grow. Negativity has no soil when you refuse to water it with excuses. Responsibility transforms suffering into strength, mistakes into lessons, setbacks into fuel. Of course, the world will tempt you to let go of responsibility. Society loves victims. Victims can be controlled, manipulated, distracted. Responsibility is dangerous. It makes you independent. It makes you ungovernable by fear or bribes. That is why Stoicism is so brutal, so unfashionable even now. It hands the knife of responsibility into your hand and says, "Cut the chains yourself." You must ask yourself, do you want comfort or do you want freedom? Comfort comes from blame, from excuses, from waiting for others to change. Freedom comes from responsibility, from action, from mastering yourself. Comfort feels good for a moment, but it rots the soul. Freedom feels heavy at first, but it forges you into something unbreakable. Training this discipline requires daily vigilance. Each morning, remind yourself, today, everything that happens will test me. My response is mine alone. Each evening, review your day. Where did you blame? Where did you excuse? Where did you waste power by pointing outward instead of inward? Journaling, reflection, meditation, these are not soft rituals. They are weapons to cut through denial and sharpen responsibility. And when you fail, and you will, own that too. Do not hide from it. Do not sugarcoat it. Say to yourself, I failed here. This was my choice. I will not repeat it. Failure, owned with responsibility, becomes a teacher. Failure, avoided with blame, becomes a prison. The ultimate test of responsibility is death. No one can die for you. No one can take that step on your behalf. When your time comes, the applause of the crowd, the excuses, the blame will all vanish. Only one question will remain. Did you live as the master of your life or as its victim? Responsibility ensures that when you face death, you face it with courage. You will not say, I could have lived, but others held me back. You will say, I lived, I chose, I owned my fate. This is the final brutal Stoic truth. Life is yours, entirely, relentlessly, inescapably yours. To deny this is to waste it. To embrace it is to become untouchable. No more excuses, no more blame, no more waiting for someone else to hand you peace. Take responsibility and you take power. Take responsibility and you kill negativity at its root. Take responsibility and you live free, perhaps for the first time.